Hello friends and followers, I hope you've been well, and this is 13th of May 2017, episode 21. I'm a wee bit late doing episodes this week because I've had a wee bit of computer problems, USB not being recognised, and then Chrome updated and corrupted itself, so I had to restore some backups and get the thing going again. In this episode I will be covering the classic Falcon and Condor secret agents or whistleblowers that come forward under disguise in a documentary 30 years ago. So I'll be talking about this in this episode and my own personal feelings about stuff. For those that haven't heard about the Kaikoura lights, I will just do a quick overview. This is the biggest UFO case that hit New Zealand and is one of the biggest UFO cases in the world. And as you can see here, there's one frame where it's doing loops and the other one is a static light. And all the UFO experts said it was a UFO, of course, but all the debunkers said it was Venus, lights off a squid boat reflecting off cloud. What else did they say? That 2 radar hits were misreadings, even though 2 separate radar stations saw it. So yeah, it's all lies. The debunking and the case soon got forgotten and the media started reported on it. And this is the case that got me interested in UFOs mostly, because I wanted to find out more, investigate more and not dismiss it. Depending on your age, you may recall this live event that went worldwide simultaneously via satellites, although it can't be simultaneous because the satellites obviously have time lag, but apparently everybody in the world was connected and they could phone in to the call centre there and report any UFO cases or things they've seen, and discuss the UFO topic live on TV, broadcast in different countries. New Zealand was one of them, I guess UK, Europe and America and Australia. But where did it all go from here? We thought it was going to be a big UFO disclosure back in 1988, 10 years on since the Kaikoura lights. They got this guy called Mike Farrell from the MASH TV series. If you remember that, you're the same age as I am, or in the same age bracket. He was interviewing all the different guests. They had some live from Russia even, and some of the abductions and some of the other famous UFO cases on the show, including Bruce Maccabee. Half the time he was trying not to burst out laughing, so whether he was taking it seriously I don't know. It didn't seem to come across that way. I will quickly summarise parts of the show, and you can watch the full episode. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the description for you. But they started off with some quotes, and then they started talking about UFO terms like close encounters of the first kind, second kind and third kind, and I think they even had fourth kind there. And then they started bringing people on the show to talk about their UFO experiences, which I'll cover quickly as well. There's quite a good little summary there. They call it CE1 to CE4, called Close Encounters 1 to 4. And Close Encounters 1, they said, was a sighting. Close Encounters 2, where there was some physical evidence. And CE3, or Close Encounters 3, was where people observed the craft directly in beings, and CE4 is those abductees, contactees, or experiences, or whatever you want to call them, is CE4. So that's quite a nice little summary there. What was interesting is they connect live to Russia. Russia investigators, they talk about UFO cases in Russia. And they talk about this one where a UFO shined a beam on a town and then onto the aircraft and followed along with the aircraft. And at the very end of the show, after hour of other watching other stuff, they bring a debunker on that says that it was just a known rocket missile test, which kind of suspicious because I've never seen a Russian missile shoot a beam of light at a plane. So yeah, I'm not sure on the kind of evidence they had to prove that being a Russian missile test, but it sounds a bit iffy to me. Debunkers are debunkers. If they don't believe anything, they will try and find a story that sort of matches the facts in that area at the time. So what? It could have been a missile test and a UFO at the same time in the same area. How about that? Anyway, firing a missile test while you got jet airliners with passengers flying in the air zone sounds a bit suspect as well. So yeah, the skeptic was not very convincing. Not sure if the show was broadcast live in Russia, but it was possible, I guess. They said it was opening up new communication lines for Russia. Well, what happened to it all is the question. They also featured a couple of Russian close encounters of the third kind stories of two men in a park being approached by aliens, and the other one found a force field around the craft and couldn't approach. It took most of the show before we got onto the Whistleblowers, but there were some interesting stories, so I'm just going to cover those quickly here and get onto the Whistleblowers and follow-up stuff on the Whistleblowers. Now, one of the interesting cases was the Betty Cash UFO sighting with her friend, was it, and her son in the car that got very hot and they got radiation burns, and it was a diamond-shaped UFO, and they said it was escorted, what they counted was 25 or 28 Chinook helicopters, something like that. Very interesting case, that one. And some whistleblower said later on that it was government acquired UFO that they were experimenting with. Then they went on to abduction cases and quickly spoke with Bob Hopkins. He looks a bit young there, and the usual stuff was said, and they didn't spend very much time on that subject. And of course they had to bring up the UFO crashes, Roswell, and they brought on a very young looking Stanton Friedman on the show to talk about the crash and that the bodies recovered and examined. They didn't really spend much time on that one either. The next people interviewed were interesting story. One was a TV producer, and he was going to obtain a video of a UFO landing and creatures coming out of it that the US military were meant to had. There was 3 UFOs, but one had difficulty and had to land, and he has a person there that saw it happen, a pilot I think it was, and basically what happened is Air Force decided not to give the footage, and so the documentary never happened, which was a shame because that would have been the smoking gun evidence by the sounds of it. So the US government, according to them, is covering it up still. We finally get on to the Whistleblowers. Condor didn't have much of a say in the series, but he backed up some of the claims of Falcon, which we will cover now, but some of the claims were that the US government had an exchange program with EBEs, as they called them, extraterrestrials, ETs, and they swapped some human people like pilots in exchange for aliens, working and educating them and telling them about stuff of the universe. And of course the humans would go back to their home planet and get photographs and explore their home world and bring back the information. First of all, they gave us the chart here, which I kind of find is laughable. President at the top, somehow I don't think so. I don't think Trump knows, Obama knows, or Clinton had a clue what was going on with the top secret stuff. If anything, that President one should be moved straight above CIA, and above where the President is should be shadow government. But yeah, it might be partially right. But yep, so move on to the next bit. Talks about a secret book they call the Bible, UFO Bible, and talks about the Truman era, history, values and data gathered, and about the 3 alien guests on the planet. He goes on to talk about the yellow book that was written by the second alien guest, talking about how they communicated with a crystal in the hand that projected like holographic images. Condor now comes on and talks about USA agreement with ETs, that they won't interfere with them, and as long as they don't interfere with our society, and provide some technical assistance, I guess, in technology. Didn't he miss the part of trading humans and human parts for them to experiment on? Because that's what that Dulce, was it S4 or whatever it was, said to have crazy labs there that ETs experiment. Falcon comes back on to back up the claims of Condor, saying that Area 51, Nevada, secret base, back then it probably was secret, but nowadays it's common knowledge, that they had 3 aliens there of the same race of aliens, which gave them lots of information on technology and the universe and their planet and other stuff like that. Then he talked about the exchange program, with some aliens being left and some men being taken aboard a UFO to go to their planet. And I think that was called Serpo, which we'll cover at the end. The last Falcon segment was asking them about the alien creatures, like their organs and makeup, that they got large brains and a single organ for their heart and lungs, and just 1 kidney, and also talked about their favourite food being ice cream, well, strawberry ice cream, and they made some joke about if you see someone eating ice cream that's strawberry, with strawberries, that it's probably ET. But they also said they like vegetables, nothing about eating meat or blood products, because they nothing about alien abductions or cattle mutilations, which is kind of strange. I thought they would have questioned on that part of it, if he meant to know everything about the aliens. What do they do with all the blood that they suck from the animals, the cattles? He talks about that they live 300 to 400 human years and have an IQ of over 200, and they have a universal religion. They see the universe as the supreme being. I always thought it was, say, which of the suns, but I suppose that's all part of the universe. The suns produce life in the universe, and the energy that we eat, and the planets. And he finally sums up saying that all information about the UFOs and ET should be made public, and only a small portion of the information that the extraterrestrials had given them should be made top secret, maybe because it's could be used for warfare. And he and Condor will be approaching members of Congress and try and get the issue brought out into the public. So what happened to all that? So let's find out. They even showed a summary of the poll at the end of all the people that phoned in and asked them questions before they left. but it didn't say how many phoned in, so really the stats are not very effective here, whether it's thousands or maybe 100 people phoned in. They also say that aliens come from the same area Betty and Barney Hill talked about, the Zeta Reticuli. Not sure if I said that right, but you can see it on the chart there, star chart. So clearly after the show, Disclosure in 1988 or beyond never happened. But what happened is a load of debunking happened and questioning the information that the whistleblowers had given, mostly about the exchange program and the MJ12 documents that were meant to have been released or talked about. I'm not sure if that's the Stanton Freeman ones that he decoded to say they were legit or not. But apparently their IDs got found out. Linda Moulton Howe was responsible for part of that. She talked about getting a phone call from a Sergeant Dottie, and he said his name was Falcon, and they made the connection straight away to the Falcon on the TV show. And they probably can reverse this voice effect as well, probably, like I did with Tyler from Secure Team, and his Dr. Norton and his Mr. Ken voice. As you can read here, the other thing that they questioned, the information provided by these two whistleblowers was misinformation or disinformation or whatever you want to call it, lies. But Serpo, which was meant to be a name of the planet that circles one of the two suns in the Zeta location where the aliens come from, which was talking about the exchange project and the data they got back. Also they got some photographs from them, about 6 of them. Here's a couple at the end here, which they said is proven to be fake, not on the planet's surface, and they list a lot of physics problems with the information provided, and yeah, so this is what we get with debunkers, I suppose, and skeptics. So we're no better off on information. Is it all lies? Why would they lie about it? Are they government liars, as Tyler from Secure Team would say? Well, the episode is getting quite long, so I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you enjoyed the information I've provided here, a summary of the show and what happened 30 years ago. And now we've sort of got a modern day disclosure with all the other guys, Greer and what's his name, Dolan, and some of the other big Bassett, was it? Steve Bassett, doing all the disclosure. So if you enjoyed the episode, hit the like button and have some comments about the episode, and we can have a discussion about this episode and anything I've got wrong or missed out stuff. So have a good weekend coming up, folks, and hope to see you again in the next episode.